Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat the turkey like a good boy should. 'Cause it's turkey to eat so good.
Hey everybody, welcome to Too Much CGI, the show where we talk about pop culture geekery, both retro and today. If you were a kid in the 80s, you are in our cult. My name is Bill, here as always with Scott. How are you doing, my friend?
Bill, I'm doing well. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. I forgot this week was Thanksgiving. I had no clue until I went to work today and we were like, oh yeah, remember, half day on Wednesday and off on Thursday. And I was sitting there, I own the company, and I'm like, oh?
I never agreed to this.
Work, damn it. Holiday schmoliday.
You go all Ebenezer Scrooge on them. Are there no jails, no workhouses?
Come on, you turkey jerkers. We got some work to do.
What do you think of the title song there with Adam Sandler and the turkey song? What do you think of that?
I was a big fan of Adam Sandler when he was doing all this stuff. I remember going to see his concert because I loved his comedy tape. It was all skits. It was like old school Cheech and Chong skits, but done with Adam Sandler. I heard David Spade's voice, Conan O'Brien. And I went and saw the concert, and it was no jokes. It was all music. It was like his rock music. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, listening back to it now, I hear the turkey song, and I'm like, he's just rhyming words. Most of this doesn't make sense. The people in that audience don't know who the fuck Betty Grable is.
I don't know who Betty Grable is.
And how could 50 million Elvis fans be wrong? What does that have to do with turkey other than the fact that he made something rhyme?
That's the humor of Adam Sandler. Like that period of just stupid. How stupid could it be? Jokes. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Everything was so dumb in those Adam Sandler days. Does that comedy work now? I'm not even sure.
I mean, hearing it opening up here, I was just like kind of annoyed.
Horse shit!
I was almost like, why was this funny? You know? Like, why did we laugh at this? But you're right. What the hell happened to me? That tape he had, I thought it was gold back in the day. It was fantastic with the buffoon and, Toll Booth Willie and all that shit was funny. But like hearing this, thinking back to what he did on Saturday Night Live, I don't get it. I don't get what we got.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I've been physically abused in the ear.
I was actually thinking about this today, funny enough. I was thinking about how comedy has changed. We had that conversation about, we call him Adam Levine, even though it's Adam Devine from Workaholics.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Adam Devine says, like, oh my God, comedies are dead. This sucks. And I was thinking about, I don't know, I haven't been able to get that in my head because he's kind of right. And when you think about eras of comedy, you get this, era of Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, right? But before that, there was highbrow comedy. Then there was slapstick comedy was all the rage. We being my wife and we watched something new on Peacock. The kids who do that Please Don't Destroy stuff on Saturday Night Live. Have you seen it? Made a movie.
I knew they made a movie. I didn't see it, but I knew it was coming.
This is Gen Z humor. So it's like a new kind of humor. And it seems just as stupid and silly as 80s humor. So as I'm watching this, which by the way, I love the movie. It really was funny. It was something called like Return to Foggy Mountain. Like the whole thing is a tongue-in-cheek joke. Conan O'Brien is in it. He's got one of the best parts. But as I'm watching this, I said to Amy, I go, this feels like the kind of jokes we had at our 80s movies. And then I'm thinking about it. These kids' dads are probably our age.
Sure.
They were probably forced to watch all the Ghostbusters, all the Back to the Future, Police Academy, that now that's in their spirit as they're now making comedy. Could be.
Maybe. I'm glad you mentioned Jim Carrey because it just reminded me, I'm not shitting on all humor from that period because I just watched a fucking, what is it, Go Mojo or wherever the fuck the channel is on YouTube. I watched like a half hour of In Living Color skits and Jim Carrey shit holds up to this day. Damon Wayans shit from that show holds up to this day. It's just Adam Sandler I'm shitting on here. I just don't get why. And maybe even at the time I was like, why is this guy funny? Why is this funny? Outside of that one tape.
He says great things about you.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, even his follow-up, like the was it Stan and Judy's Kid or whoever the fuck his follow-up album was, he couldn't recapture that gold.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
But I did like, what's the Hotel Transylvania he does? I did enjoy that. Like, he was okay and stuff like that. I didn't like Grown Ups or his live action stuff, but Yeah, his voiceover comedy stuff or animated stuff, I thought that was good.
I just saw a commercial for a new cartoon that he's the voice of, some kind of lizard
Yeah.
or something. He's the voice of. Yeah, it didn't look bad, but it was like, damn it, there's that voice again. Like I've had my fill of Adam Sandler. Maybe I'm with you, but I didn't cringe at hearing this.
Did that cartoon movie trailer, whatever the hell it was, did it have to debut during the Eagles game last night?
Yeah, right. That's where I saw it.
Like, is it that big of a deal, Netflix? Really?
Yeah, I went to bed. Like the game was over, and that Fall Guy commercial came on, and that was like, okay, now I'm turning it off. The Fall Guy commercial made me turn it off. Hey, everyone, if you want to follow along, you can go to toomuchcgi.com on Twitter or on Facebook, and we can hang out and we can talk there. You can send us some things that you want to hear us talk about on the show. And I got to admit, you guys actually came through for us. I think they're listening, Scott. We had a real nice jump in downloads all of a sudden. So it does sound like you're all telling one friend.
Paying that price.
So thank you very much for that. And right now there's a few people who are like, oh, I didn't tell anybody. I hope you feel real guilty.
You're the minority, pal. That's right. You. I'm talking to you.
Yeah. You know who you are.
Listening on your phone right now. Feeling all guilty.
Later on today, we're talking about what, Scott?
You know what, man? I'm kind of phoning it in today. Not that it's going to be a bad episode or anything, but as we mentioned, this is a holiday episode. We're going to talk a little bit about the holiday. You know, do you like it? Do you not? What are your family traditions? Do you like them? Do you not? What do you remember about Thanksgiving growing up? We're going to transition over to a little bit about the arcade, the video game arcade, and the haven that used to be for us and what our memories are of that. You got me thinking about that when you mentioned Afterburner on the last episode, and I was like, man, I miss the arcade. That was the place to be. So we'll talk a little bit about that nostalgia and just shoot the shit, do some news, get out of here because I got a turkey to cook.
I like a 2 for main segment. I'm all in. This is good.
Variety. Give the people variety.
Well, we got a few things on the agenda before we get there. As usual, as of last week, when I let you pick last time, as usual, I'm going to let you pick this time.
Oh.
I say as usual, like we've ever done it before. We did it once. All right. So we can do my what the fuck of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We can do a segment called Things Scott Didn't Know About Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
Or we can do fuck-upperies.
Let me get my fuck-uppery off my chest. Let's do fuck-upperies, shit I didn't know, what the fuck of the week.
All right, hit it.
All right. Once again, I have my clairvoyance listening back during editing. I told you Mr. Sandman replaced Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was taken off of Mike Tyson's punch.
Oh, it wasn't.
No, it was. However, I told you that prior to Mike Tyson being taken out of the game, Mr. Sandman was the guy before. You said you felt that the guy that you fought before Mike Tyson was actually harder than Mike Tyson himself. And I said, oh, you're talking about Mr. Sandman. Not the case. Mr. Sandman replaced Mike Tyson when he was taken off the game and it was just called Punch-Out. The guy before Mike Tyson was always Super Macho Man.
What? Super Macho?
Super Macho Man was like a dude with like he was from Venice Beach, California. He was very tan. He had like a high blonde ponytail and he did that spin around punch thing. And Super Macho Man was always the second to last guy. Whether it was Iron Mike or Mr. Sandman, Super Macho Man was always the second to last battle.
Yeah, that must have been the guy I hated. I hated him so much I didn't commit his name to memory.
But yeah, I was thinking about that during editing and I was like, yeah, I'll own it because it's not true.
I got to say, though, and I said it in the show, your memory is incredible. You're allowed to get one or two wrong because everything else you remember is remarkable. I never knew this about you.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been friends for a long time. I had no idea you had so much just useless knowledge.
Yeah, man. And I did say I got it from playing a lot of Nintendo, and that is true. But I did get a lot of my knowledge from fucking Nintendo Power. You mentioned Nintendo Power. I used to have a subscription to it. Damn, I committed everything in those pages to memory.
I did too, though. I just don't remember them. But yeah, I poured over those magazines. That was a big deal when those magazines showed up. I remember getting the first one.
Yeah.
And I
same.
remember looking at like a claymation Super Mario Brothers. And I think I even remember like Mario being blue and me being like, this is wrong.
Super Mario 2 was on the cover of the first one. Do you remember the issue that had Castlevania on the front? It had Simon Belmont holding Dracula's head in his hand, and it like gave kids like a nightmare.
Yes, loved it.
Yeah.
That's a game we forgot to mention last week. I can't believe neither of us came up with Castlevania.
I never liked it. I never owned it.
Oh.
My cousin owned it. We played it. Never cared for it.
That should have been on my top 5.
Not top, not bottom, somewhere in the middle. Gun to my head, I'd play it, but I wouldn't enjoy it. I also learned something new this week. To tie 2 episodes together, we've been shitting most of the games we shit on the last episode for Nintendo bottom 5 games. Who was the producer? Who was the manufacturer?
LJN.
Do you know what else LJN produced that I had no idea about?
In terms of Nintendo games?
No, just this is a toy we talked about in a prior episode. LJN produced. Nothing to do with video games.
No, I didn't know they did anything but video games.
Neither did I, but they were the manufacturers of those solid rubber wrestling figures that we talked about.
Oh, yeah? Those WWF?
Yeah. LJN made those bricks of shit.
Those bastards. They were just shoveling the money into their mouths, weren't they?
They got those intellectual properties, cranked out shit, and we just ate it up.
Yeah, it really, and it got so bad that I remember thinking as a kid, anything that came out with a superhero or any movie game or anything was going to be bad. And I just stopped getting them. Like, I was like, well, it's going to be bad because it's made after a movie or it's made after a comic book character. And that's all LJN's fault.
It is.
Are they even still around? We should go fucking tar and feather.
Yo, you know what? They were bought by Acclaim.
Oh, Acclaim wasn't that great either.
No.
Acclaim had a run, and then they started to really stink. I remember being a fan of Acclaim and then just losing it with them.
Acclaim's big moneymaker that's going to come up later in this episode, they were the one that ported the Mortal Kombat game to the Super Nintendo. So they made bank there.
Yeah. There's more. I just can't get it out of my head. I remember loving them and then hating them. I mean, we're crazy kids. We were fans of some of these video game companies. Like Konami was a brand I liked. Capcom was a brand I liked.
Well, shout out to the Angry Video Game Nerd for bringing that to my attention. I was watching Angry Video Game Nerd the other night, and I was just like, no shit, LJN made those toys.
What's that phenomenon called that after you say something, now you see it everywhere?
Oh, self-affirming.
Something like
self-affirming comments.
Now you're seeing it LJN everywhere. You go to a toy store, it's just like an LJN blowout. Like, what the hell? Well, we don't need to give LJN any more commercials. They didn't pay us. But how about what the fuck of the week?
Okay.
Talk about giving a commercial to somebody else. So the Killdozer episode.
Yeah.
Ever since that thing aired, every third day, somebody sends me a Matchbox car of the Killdozer.
I got the same text message.
You. What the hell? Is it real? I don't think it's real, but it's funny.
They're selling it on eBay. Somebody's custom making Killdozer Matchbox cars, or maybe it's Hot Wheels. I don't know the brand, but they're selling them. Do you see the price tag on that fucking thing?
No.
It was like $125 a piece. And people are clearly buying it.
So is it a customized Matchbox car, or is it totally? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mattel is not producing that. They're not promoting Marvin Humeyer.
Oh man, I heard Nick was walking around the office all day going, "I can't wait to school Bill on Killdozer. Can't wait to school Bill." I'm like, "School me? I don't know anything about this except what Scott. You ought to school Scott."
He did.
Scott gave me the information.
He did, and I brought it to the show. I brought about the part about his wife that wasn't mentioned, and the part that maybe the local government made him put sewage on his property that he did not want. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I have trouble rooting for people that destroy other people's stuff. Just bothers me. Call me old fashioned. Well, I like the toy. I do want the toy. So I don't want to pay $110 for it, but it definitely needs to be something in my collection. That was great. The Killdozer toy. I mean, everybody said it to me. I was like, everybody knows about the Killdozer but me.
Well, that means they're listening because nobody would normally send that to you unless they know you just did a show about it. So it's great that people are listening.
Yeah, great. Let's talk about stuff like money. So people send me money. Let's talk about cookies. I like cookies. You can send me cookies.
Well, they're just going to send you pictures of cookies, pictures of money. They're not sending you the actual thing.
Well, this moves us right along to the segment before we get to the main segment. This is shit Scott didn't know about Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
All right.
So we've done this segment a couple times before, and I get all excited because I'm like, I'm going to show Scott stuff that he's not aware of, and you knew everything. I mean, you knew almost everything. So how well do you know Roger Rabbit? Are you going to chump me again?
I don't know. It depends what it is. Do I get a chance to say if I knew or not, or chime in?
Oh, yeah.
Is this a game? Do I have
Let's riff on all these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really a game.
All right, well, let's see.
And before we jump into it, I got to say, Roger Rabbit is actually one of my all-time favorite movies, and I'm forgetting it. Like, it's starting to fade in my memory, and that sucks. Like, I'll never forget Beetlejuice. I'll never forget Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Back to the Future, Star Wars. But this one is starting to slip, so I think I need to go back and watch it. Oh, and by the way, everybody, I don't do this research myself. I steal it from others. So there's some IMDb stuff in here. So I was looking at IMDb, and I was just reading all these things, and I was like, man, this movie was way bigger than I remember. So some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is stuff that was not even completed and put into the movie. This movie had such a rough ride to getting made that it almost never got made. Everybody in Hollywood had their fingerprints on this thing. Every director, every producer.
Yeah, I know that there were some problems with even licensing because they had Warner Brothers cartoons, they had Disney cartoons, they had a lot of different licenses involved in this movie. I remember this being the first time that like all the different studios' characters came together. And the other thing that stands out for me about Roger Rabbit was the first time I ever heard like a cartoon character swear.
Yeah, what was who was the the baby?
Well, no, Baby Herman didn't really swear that I recall, but I remember there was a gorilla bouncer at the nightclub.
Got the password?
When Eddie was trying to get into the nightclub, there was a big gorilla that was like a bouncer. He goes, "Nice monkey suit," and he goes, "Hey, smart ass," or something like that.
Smart ass.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me read these to you.
All right.
So this first thing that I'm going to say is something that I actually found myself. This one I didn't steal from anybody else. So you know the tunnel for Toontown, all right? It's actually a tunnel.
You talked about
I did talk about this before. I wondered if you remembered because I was so proud that I found it. I was going to the Griffith Observatory. Every time I go to LA, I love to go up there and take pictures of the city and all that. And I drove through it. One day I'm like, this is fucking Toontown's tunnel. Like they filmed it here and then put the CGI to make it look like Toontown.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to drive through the tunnel to Toontown, just go to the famous Griffith Park Observatory, whatever the hell it's called. All right. Did you know that Paul Rubens was supposed to do Roger Rabbit's voice?
Really?
Yeah. So in one of the iterations, when this movie almost got launched, they do things like demos, like they want to see if the characters can really animate. They want to see if the voices really match the tone of the movie. And there's footage out there of Roger Rabbit being voiced by Paul Rubens. And it's really scrapped up, type of footage. It wasn't shot well. It was just proof of concept footage.
Sure.
But he sounded interesting in it. But it was just like Pee Wee Herman. If it ended up being Pee Wee Herman, that would have totally changed either Pee Wee Herman's career or this movie. Like, it just wouldn't have worked. I don't know. I don't think Paul Rubens would have made a good Roger Rabbit, or I don't know if Paul Rubens would have had a Pee Wee Herman career after being Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, it's a good point. Who did they go with? Is this like an unknown, or who's the voice of Roger Rabbit as we know him?
His last name is Fleischer. He was a 80s guy. I remember he was a comedian. I didn't know him that, for much. I saw him once at a Blue Moon on a talk show.
Okay.
Charles Fleischer, maybe. Yeah, I don't think he lasted long in Hollywood. Since Disney's Touchstone Pictures was producing the film, Warner Brothers stipulated that their iconic characters Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck would only be featured if they received equal screen time as Disney's Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Consequently, these characters were paired in scenes such as Daffy and Donald's piano duel and the parachute sequence with Bugs and Mickey. This equal representation approach was also evident in the film's conclusion with Porky Pig and Tinkerbell.
Oh, interesting.
So I noticed that. That is just some weird observation. It was like every time you have Disney on, you had to have somebody big from Looney Tunes. Yeah, I noticed that.
That's funny because Tinkerbell always ended all the Disney movies, and of course Porky ended with beep, beep, beep. That's all, folks. So they had those to end the movie. I never would have thought of that.
So there's a whole lot of nonsense that happened at this time. This is like 83. The whole thing is based on a book that came in around, it was around 81 or 82 or 83. It's, I wrote it down and I lost it. So yeah, it's like early 80s. There was a book that came out. It's called Who Censored Roger Rabbit? All right. It's not Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's a totally different book. And we're going to talk about it in a minute. But the general concept was passed around Hollywood as a screenplay, and it has been tweaked a whole bunch of times. So one of the things that happened in the past is it got really close to getting started and getting going to the point where some of the animators had actually drawn Roger, and they had drawn some other characters that eventually got cut in the final version that we've seen. So what was going on in this time with Disney is a lot of people were starting to go, well, animation, it doesn't have a long shelf life, right? It's only for cereal commercials, because you saw like Tony the Tiger and the Honey Smacks frog like dancing with real people, or you saw cartoons on Saturday morning. So it was like, really, we want to do this?
Right.
We want to make a cartoon movie? So a lot of people really wanted to either do it the way they used to do it because they're old heads, but there were some young Turks who were like, we could do some really crazy stuff. Well, they didn't get along very well. There's a movie called The Black Cauldron, which evidently is proof of these two kind of teams not working well together, because the movie
didn't do well at all.
And I guess it was tonally mismatched and all that. I never saw it.
It was a black eye for Disney. They lost a lot of money on it.
And that's one of the reasons they couldn't get this Roger Rabbit off the ground, because they were afraid that it was going to happen again. Anyway, so the young Turk animators, right? They stayed in with Disney. They were pretty annoyed by what was going on. I guess they were being a little bit, young and annoying. So Disney put them in a whole different studio in Burbank. They're like, you're now going to work in this animation house of ours in Burbank, California. We're going to put you on like the Goofy sports series that was coming out in the mid 80s or something like that. So evidently, and I've seen the shot, the guys who were making this were pissed that they never got to make their Roger Rabbit movie. So they threw Roger Rabbit into one scene in this cartoon. So that is truly Roger Rabbit's first appearance ever.
On the Goofy sports show.
Yeah, the kid, he's just sitting in the bleachers. All right, so let's talk about the original movie and why this had such a difficult time being made into a Disney movie, because there's nothing Disney about this original story. I'm going to try to give you the highlights of this original story. All right, so in this version of Who Censored Roger Rabbit by Gary K. Wolf, it's a gritty crime story and a animated, funny, like tongue-in-cheek story, but it's meant to be dark. It's not meant to be humorous in the way that it ended up. So Roger in this movie is 6 feet tall. He's a comic strip character. And the comic strip is owned by the Greasy brothers, two just,
slime balls,
stereotypical businessmen in Hollywood. So one of the Greasy brothers used to date Jessica Rabbit. But she decides while dating Roger in the beginning of the story to leave him and go back to the Greasy brother.
Oh.
This makes Roger crazy. He's like, oh my God, I hate these bosses that I work for. My girl just went to them. I'm going to go to Eddie Valiant and see if I have anything for a work dispute. So Eddie gets hired and he goes to, check in on Roger the next day to see his client, and he finds Roger's dead. But so is Rocco the Greasy. He's dead too.
What?
Yeah. So this is where it gets really off the rails.
Too late.
So it turns out animated characters have the ability to create doppelgangers. They could just create these like mental versions of themselves that come to life, and they could drop anvils on them and run them over with steamrollers. They're basically these second versions of the main characters that are meant to get destroyed.
So this is like The Prestige with Hugh Jackman.
I don't know. Never saw that. Maybe that's Who Censored Roger Rabbit. Maybe it's really turned into The Prestige. So the whole movie, we're hanging out with Roger's doppelganger. All right. It goes even weirder. Roger has a magic genie. Like there's a genie lamp. I didn't even I shouldn't have even brought him up. He just confuses the whole thing. So here's what happens. It ends in some weird ass way where we find out that the real Roger killed the Greasy, and he was trying to frame Eddie for the murder and using his doppelganger as an alibi. Like the whole thing is just bizarre. And that's why I had to go through so many rewrites, and everybody was disagreeing on the rewrites because some people were like, you're taking away its original tone. And other people were like, listen, we ought to celebrate all the animation and let's do like Max Fleischer style animation, that really slapstick kind of, like the Mask, Jim Carrey's The Mask, that character was always trying to imitate Max Fleischer stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's crazy. All right, I got a few more. These are the ones that I really stole. I got these from IMDb, so I'll just read them. During production, there was a disagreement over the way Looney Tunes characters should look. Warner Brothers wanted the filmmakers to use the characters as they appeared in merchandising at the time, while the producers insisted on having the characters looking the way they had looked at the time period where the film was set in the mid-1940s. Dummy footage using the modern designs was sent to Warner Brothers for approval, while the animators used the period-appropriate designs in the actual film. I don't know if these are the same Turk animators, young Turk animators I was just talking about, but that's ballsy.
Yeah, it's a little bait and switch. Get approval for one and use the other anyway.
From IMDb, Tim Curry auditioned for the role of Judge Doom.
I like Christopher Lloyd better.
So do I. I thought he was great in that movie, Christopher Lloyd. But it says here, Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and Michael Eisner found Tim Curry's performance quite terrifying. Apparently, John Cleese from Monty Python, he wanted the role too. And they were like, there's no way anybody's going to take a Monty Python person as a bad guy. No way. From IMDb, although the film's title is a question, no question mark appears in the title because this is considered bad luck in the industry.
Really?
Yeah, never heard that before.
We put question marks in like 90% of our titles.
That's why we're not in the industry. That's why the WGA won't let us in. That's why I had to negotiate really hard to get us into that IMDb listing.
We're a jinx.
Speaking of IMDb, here's another one. And I couldn't remember the guy's name a minute ago. It's right here. During filming, Charles Fleischer delivered Roger Rabbit's lines off camera in full Roger costume, including rabbit ears, yellow gloves, and orange coveralls. During breaks, when he was in costume, other staff at the studios would see him and make comments about the poor caliber of the effects in that Rabbit movie.
That's a bit extreme that he had to dress up in character, Was that for his benefit or for the other actors?
I don't know. That's funny, though.
I think it'd be funny if like Bob Hoskins was like, I'm not talking to that guy unless he's dressed like a rabbit. How can I do this? What's my motivation? What's my motivation here?
Could you imagine they did that at Marvel? All right, you're going to be the stand-in for the Hulk. Take your shirt off. We're going to paint you green. What? Come on, Ruffalo, do it.
You're supposed to be an actor? Act.
Judge Doom originally had a vulture on his shoulder and 7 weasels accompanying him, rather like the 7 dwarfs. But he ended up only having 5. It says here he was also supposed to have a jury of kangaroos, as in Kangaroo Court.
Oh.
These elements were all dropped because animating these extra characters would be too costly.
The weasels were a good fit. They're the gangster weasels.
Yeah, they were fun. I like them.
Oh my God!
And here's my last one from IMDb. Eddie Murphy revealed on Inside the Actors Studio in 1994 that he turned down the role of Eddie Valiant. He regrets that decision. Wait, he said that in 94. I think we got
the movie came out in 1988.
Yeah, we got the date.
I misspoke when I guessed 93. Yeah. I don't think he would have been a good Valiant.
Yeah, I can't see anybody with Bob Hoskins now.
Yeah.
I think he would have overshadowed it. I think the way that movie worked is because everybody was in such a character. When you have somebody who's so big like Eddie Murphy, I don't know. I go, oh, that's Eddie Murphy in a costume.
Yeah, here's the other problem I have with it. Like, Eddie Murphy was almost like an in real life cartoon character at the time with all his roles and everything he was doing. The nice thing about Valiant was like he was almost annoyed with the tunes. Like there was like, yeah, cartoons and humans existing in the real world, but Valiant was like on the outs and not accepting of the cartoons at first. He wasn't like racist against them or anything, but he did seem to hold animosity a little bit. Like, oh, I can't be bothered by this slapstick horseshit comedy. Like I'm a serious detective. I don't think Eddie Murphy would have been able to pull off that kind of feel. He was almost a cartoon character himself.
For me, anybody who's that big, you can't put him in a role that they overshadow. Like when Tom Cruise was rumored to be Iron Man, I'm like, that's crazy. He's too big to be Iron Man. It's just insane. Robert Downey Jr. is perfect. He's almost out of Hollywood at that point, and they brought him in, and yeah, that would have been weird.
You think Eddie Murphy wanted to be upstaged by a He would have been Chevy Chase in the Community.
Right.
He would have been like a big name upstaged by an animated drawn cartoon rabbit.
Oh my God. God, I would.
How's that going to fly?
I would have loved to have been on set. Well, that's everything I got.
Let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. 2 days away. What are your thoughts about the holiday?
I've never been much of a holiday kid. Remember, I hate Christmas. So Thanksgiving was just the sniffles to the full virus that was Christmas for me. Because once Halloween ended, I was like, oh shit, now we got to go through all this nonsense. When I was a kid, I loved it because as a kid, I was like, that meant time off from school. But I heard this on a commercial. I think I heard it on the Eagles commercial. Jimmy Kimmel said, I used to hate Thanksgiving because there's no gifts. Now I love Thanksgiving because there's no gifts. Like, yeah, that's why I hate the holidays. Gifts are stressful.
A good point. Jenna and myself, we were just telling the kids the same thing. I said, I like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday right now. I like it more than Christmas. And the kids were like, what? You like it more than Christmas? And I was like, yeah. Like, how do you like it more than Christmas? There's no gifts. Jenna was like, yeah, well, when you're older, you don't really need gifts. Gifts are an obligation.
Yeah.
Not something that you get. It's something that you give. Like, sometimes obligatorily, you give gifts because you have to. But I'm a foodie at heart, man. So I just love this is like the one holiday that revolves around food. So I'm all about it.
Yeah, well, I was at work today and the guys were like, yeah, I'm going home to brine a turkey. And the women were like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And everybody was doing something. I'm like, I'm not doing a damn thing. Like, I don't even know how to cook. I worked at a restaurant for 6 years. And I think as a kid, and I think I'm never, ever going to pick up like a spatula again.
Now I'm doing the full meal this year, man. I'm smoking a turkey, pecan smoked Cajun style turkey. Got an 18-pounder down there. Gonna make some stuffing. Gonna make some wild berry moonshine cranberry sauce. I'm making up a recipe for that this year. And Brussels sprouts and bacon. Yeah, man, we go all out. Do you do a meal on Thanksgiving? What do you do?
Amy does. Yeah, we host. We have Amy's family over.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it'll be fun.
Pretty traditional. Any specialty dishes? What's the meal look like?
I don't know.
You just show up hungry.
I just show up hungry and shovel it down and go, that was good. And then every year it's probably the same thing. And I just forget. I was like, oh, is this the first year we had cream corn? No, stupid. I don't know. It's sad that I just do not pay any attention. One of the things that I do remember about Thanksgiving is those damn cans of cranberries. Like,
okay,
those like Alpo food cans with the ribs going around them, the ridges or whatever you call those. Like, and people would, kind of shake the can. This cranberry jello would. I remember my family would just start eating out of that. Like, what are you doing? That's dog food, guys. So that
you're not a
freaks me
fan?
out. No, I can't to this day because of that. I can't even have like ocean spray cran apple, like anything with cran in it. I can't even go near. Can't stand it.
Even the juice?
Yeah, even the juice.
Wow.
Yeah, that really freaked me out as a kid.
I buy the full cranberries and then I cook them down until they burst. And last year I put in some peach whiskey. This year it's going to be wild berry moonshine that I have downstairs. Just using what I have on hand and cook them down with sugar. And the natural pectin in the cranberry actually helps it kind of like gelatinize. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, man, big hit last year. And I think it's going to be a big hit this year as well. So do you have a favorite food? I mean, the cranberry sauce for me, that's my favorite food every year. So I know you said you don't know what's there, but like, is there like a favorite you have where if it's not there, you're missing it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so plain. I'm going to go for the turkey. I'm going to go for the mashed potatoes, and I'm probably going to go for the green bean or corn or whatever. Everything else starts to look very fishy to me. Like, I don't know what that is. That's got a lot of colors. That doesn't even look like anything I've eaten before. Yeah, I'm very just old-fashioned, traditional there.
When you say green beans, you talking about that green bean casserole with like the little onion shrivels on top of it?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't like that?
We never did that as a kid growing up, but through marriage and things, more and more people have been coming to dinners who have been bringing in other people's traditions. So I've had the green bean casserole that I'm speaking of here, but yeah, I mean, I don't not like it. It's just not something that it doesn't taste like my childhood Thanksgiving,
My childhood Thanksgiving tastes like burnt turkey. I mean, let's be honest.
They taste like burning.
Although I got to say, once I had with my ex-wife, her brother came over and he was like, we're going to fry turkey this year. And he used my house and they're out back in my yard. And he drops the giant turkey in. Turkey's covered in frost and ice and water. Immediately, the turkey fryer explodes in a wave of anger and the oil goes all over my lawn and just gives a bald spot to my lawn that I could never, ever grow grass in again. But the turkey was good.
I wasn't there for the event, but I certainly did experience the burnt terrain that was your backyard.
Do you remember it?
I do. You're lucky you didn't burn your house down, man. There's like how many videos on YouTube of people like dropping partially frozen turkeys into hot oil and just burning their house down.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's a serious problem.
Yeah, I don't know how we didn't get hurt. We were pretty drunk too, and it was like, whoa! Instead of run, it was wow. Can we get closer and touch it?
Yeah, I mean the main problem people have is like when you have those turkey fryers, it's like an open propane flame underneath there, and they just fill up the thing with oil, and they don't measure like how much the turkey's going to displace the oil. So then you drop the turkey in, and oil sloshes out, hits the open flame, and just explodes into a brilliant display of firework type activity.
I always thought it was the water. So when I worked at a fast food restaurant, whenever you use the fryer, if you threw a little ice cubes in there, the fucker would go crazy. It would like pop and sizzle. So that's what I thought it was.
Oil and water certainly do not mix, but when it becomes like full blown house fires or backyard fires and shit like that, usually it's like oil hitting the open flame and just like erupting.
Let me ask you this. So your kids are going to elementary school, right? Your other one's in junior high. So the things that we learned in school, right? We were tracing the turkeys on construction paper and
the turkey hand.
Yeah, the turkey hand, and learning the wonderful, accurate story about how the Indians were really treated. They were loved and everybody was happy. And that's what we found out was total bullshit. What are they teaching your kids?
It's a great question. I think they just talk about being thankful and using the holiday more for celebrating gratitude. I don't think they're shoveling that bullshit story of, how nice the Pilgrims and the Indians got along. They're not doing like, fucking Thanksgiving pageants or anything like that where people are dressing up and, shaking hands and sitting down together and all that bullshit. So I don't think they're telling the real story either. You know what I mean? So they're not telling the bullshit one anymore. They're not telling the Hallmark version. They're not telling the down and dirty historical version. I think they're just kind of talking more about the meaning of the holiday. So the Thanksgiving holiday was actually brought about after the Civil War by Abraham Lincoln. And it was his way to get families back together after how devastatingly separating the Civil War was for many families.
I never heard that in my life. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So they actually went back and used the Pilgrims and all that as the first Thanksgiving. And that's when it became a national holiday.
Yeah. Everything we did as kids, I remember just what you said, like kids dressed as Indians, other kids like dressed as Pilgrims. And we all were going to break bread together and
Bullshit.
not doing that anymore. Just not even going to go near it. Not even going to touch it. Just going to skip right over it. We were watching that again. This Eagles game came up, right? So they're the Chiefs. They're playing the Chiefs yesterday. And all the fans in the audience are going, oh,
yeah,
and Amy says,
tomahawk chop.
She goes, is this racist? And I go, the Washington Commanders must have thought it was.
I mean, the Cleveland Guardians did the same thing. They were the Cleveland Indians for years. Now they're the Cleveland Guardians, but we still have the Atlanta Braves. We still have the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. So why good for some, not good for others? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We still have the Chicago Blackhawks in hockey. I mean, there's still a lot of teams out there. Yeah, we still have the Florida Seminoles for college. Like, there's still a lot of teams still using Native Americans as mascots.
I never thought of that. You're right. There are quite a bit.
So if you're for it, I mean, the two that changed, you mentioned the Commanders and I mentioned the Guardians. That's a step in the right direction if that's what you believe. For those that don't believe it and think tradition is tradition, and it's been going along this long, I mean, there's still plenty others out there that you can still root for if you're not in favor of what Cleveland and Washington, D.C. Well, back to Thanksgiving. It's not all about food. I mean, for me, it's all about food, but it's not all about food. Any favorite family traditions that you either grew up with or practice currently?
Watching that Charlie Brown cartoon. That's it. The turkey cartoon. But I did like the parade. I did enjoy watching the Macy's Day Parade and seeing all the giant characters up in the air. You know, in the 80s, like that was cool shit. Now kids look at that and go, that's boring. Try to impress me more.
I'm still watching the Macy's thing. I'm so glad you brought this up. I'll watch this all morning. And I'm looking forward to watching it. And I actually just said to Amy in the office the other day, I said, I'm really looking forward to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but I know once it comes on, I'm really only watching it hoping that it's windy and that one of those balloons go into the trees again. And the other thing is, like, every time a performer comes on, I'm just going to be like, they're not even singing. Why would you come here and lip sync?
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are.
I don't even know
so
who they
I watch
are.
it just to shit on it. I don't know why I do this, but I watch it every year and I say the same fucking thing and I just shit on it. But it's tradition.
Yeah, well, look, traditions, you got to do it. It's got to, every year, you got to look forward to shitting on Garfield floating down 52nd Street or whatever it's 42nd Street.
42nd Street. There you go.
I'm always hoping one of those big balloons, like, will just start leaking gas, like the Joker. Remember in Batman?
The Joker balloon.
Yeah, I keep hoping that like something good like that'll happen. I would like that. That would be fun.
Football is a big tradition in my house. Yeah, we always watch the football games. There's always the Detroit Lions game and then the
Cowboys, right?
Fuck Dallas game. Yeah. I just wasn't going to say it.
Did you see the commercial yesterday? They're like, Friday Night Football, we're trying a new thing on Amazon Prime only.
Yeah, Black Friday football with the Dolphins I saw this year.
How are our dads going to figure this out? They don't know how to stream shit. Their eyes can't look at anything on a phone for more than 2 minutes.
It's true. When I was a kid, though, I mean, I'm sure we watched some football. That didn't stand out to me. But when I was a kid, for the Thanksgiving holiday, our local video rental store had 4-day rentals because you would rent it on Wednesday, you'd have it on Thursday, you get to keep it on Friday. Didn't have to have the movies back till Saturday or Sunday. It was like a 4-day rental for the regular price. And we used to get like 4 movies and just binge watch movies. I remember watching like Ghostbusters this way, Trading Places, Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2 I watched this way. Yeah, just that was what we did. We did like we would all eat turkey, get really fucking tired, pop in a movie after movie after movie. Half the people would fall asleep. Kids were left to do whatever the fuck they wanted and watch inappropriate movies. It was a great holiday.
See, nothing like that happened in my house. I think I've watched 3 movies with my parents in my life. Yeah. We didn't watch movies. TV was always on, but nobody sat around as a family and watched the movie.
How about the day after Thanksgiving? Are you a Black Friday shopper? Speaking of Black Friday?
No, because I worked in retail a lot. I was always working. I did get dragged out a couple of years ago to do one of those late night, and I cried and moaned and bitched and complained the entire time. I started getting angry at everybody who was out here showing the worst side of humanity. Like, the consumerism was just making me sick. And I was just, this is crazy. Yeah. Like, I was just way up past my bedtime. I had to go home and go to bed. So I've never done that since. Do you do that?
So you actually went out on Thanksgiving night.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Not Black Friday. Thanksgiving night is the beginning of Black Friday now.
I was just going to say Black Friday bled into Thanksgiving night.
That's what I did.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ate all the turkey. I drank all the alcohol. And then they're like, guess what? We're going to the store. I'm like,
going shopping.
You got to be kidding me.
My brother and I went out one time and it was Thanksgiving night, like you're talking about here. I think it was like actually at midnight. We ran over to the local mall, stood outside the Bon-Ton for like 45 minutes. We can get my dad a Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville margarita blender, the one that you and I both own. We got it as a Thursday night / Black Friday morning doorbuster. I think I paid like $100 for it. I may have pushed an old lady to get it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's math behind all of these deals. When I used to, well, I can't say there's too much with an NDA, but there's one of the biggest, I can't say anything. This sucks.
That's
My whole world is tied up in legal documents. I used to work for a very big brand and they would give out like coupons, but they were very calculated. They're like, if this coupon goes viral and gets spread around too much, we'll lose X amount of money. If it doesn't, we will gain this much. Like, they had every scenario figured out. And most of the scenarios were like, let's take a chance because we think it's going to draw more people in. So my guess is they do like $100 margarita maker, and they say, well, we're just not going to make any money on that, but we know that'll bring people in to buy the other stuff that we make money on. So that's how I think it's working.
Yeah, it's a loss leader. You take a hit on one, banking that somebody's going to buy something else. Well, guess what, Bonton? You're out of business now because all I bought was a margarita maker.
I remember the early days of internet, like sometimes those coupon codes, you give them to a few people and they start emailing them. And like before the real sense of, something goes viral on the internet, before anybody was really saying that, I worked for this company and it went viral and we lost a lot of money. It was like, we never expected this coupon to get this far. And it was shared in social media networks were new. So we really didn't understand the power of MySpace. Yeah, it was crazy days.
Dude, in my late teens and early 20s, because I worked at the toy store, I hated Thanksgiving. I hated Black Friday. Even if I enjoyed myself on Thanksgiving, knowing I had to wake up to be at work at 4:00 the next morning just took all the fun out of it. It sucked.
Yeah.
So this whole thing of Thanksgiving being my favorite holiday is a relatively new concept here. Probably within the past 5-10 years.
Part of getting older, man. It's part of getting older. It's like last time I went to Disney, I said, I'll give this Epcot a try again. Loved it. Loved Epcot.
Favorite.
Thanksgiving is like Epcot.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention one of the greatest things about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, the movie inspired by Thanksgiving.
My favorite movie, which I remember nothing about because it was so long ago, but I love talking about it. We talked about
The Killer Turkey.
Yeah, we talked about it not too long ago. Remember what part 3 is about?
The search for part 2 that never came out.
Search for part 2 that never came out. Thanksgiving 3.
Never watched it. We never watched part 3.
Yeah, we still have to.
I know.
Well, how long are we waiting? We're going to be 70 until we go and I can't watch it now. I can't see through my cataracts. Scott, what?
I look at it this way. So long as we don't watch it, it's like Schrodinger's cat. It's both the greatest movie and the worst movie at the same time. We don't know. We assume it's going to be awful, but there's a chance it could be good.
Right. Never meet your heroes.
That's right. So
we're just going to die assuming that this is the best movie ever made.
Gotta keep that mystery out. Citizen Kane. Yeah.
There is a new horror movie out now, and I'm so sick of these horror movies because they're just, I've cried about it enough. They're not what they used to be. They're just mean and fucking, just fucking gruesome and torture porn. So it's called Thanksgiving, and it's just now a guy's dressed like I guess he's supposed to be a pilgrim.
Pilgrim. Yeah, I saw the video. I think he stabbed somebody with like a hay fork, like a pitchfork.
Yeah, he takes those corn on the cob little ear things.
Yeah, he stuck them in like in their
ears.
And
I'm like, this is a trailer. I think this is a trailer in front of the Super Mario Brothers movie. I was like, this isn't right for kids, but it was in the trailer. No, it wasn't. But it was in the trailer.
Yeah,
it was in the trailer. I'm like, that is too gruesome for a trailer. I don't think this was one of those red, R-rated trailers. I was like, damn. You know what? I think I saw it on a commercial for football. So kids are seeing this.
Oh, yeah. I think this is an A24 movie.
Jesus, man. What the fuck has happened to our society that we're letting kids see, you used to have to go to a movie theater to see shit. Now you just see it on your regular football commercials.
Or think about this. If that's what they're showing in the preview, how gruesome is it really in the actual movie?
So weird to me to think how violent we've become as a culture and we're just not even aware.
Well, getting off this gravy boat of Thanksgiving, let's talk about some childhood arcade memories.
Gravy boat. Well done.
Did you have a go-to arcade when you were a kid?
The very first arcade I remember was in a Kmart, and it had Moon Patrol and Tron and Star Trek.
Oh.
But that wasn't the Mecca for me. The Mecca was in a mall, Gumryville Mall in Pennsylvania. And it was like a mini paradise. And it probably only had about 50 games, but it just seemed like paradise.
Wow. So I was going to say, I think my first arcade ever was like Showbiz Pizza, which became Major Magic and kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. But I don't think that's true. I think my very first arcade was at the local roller skating rink. And they would have like 15 or 20 arcade games in the back, like where the kids that were smoking cigarettes and didn't skate were playing. I remember that's the first time I ever saw Super Mario Brothers. So that would have been like 84, 85. Also, the first time I ever heard about the Nintendo Entertainment System.
You're right. I remember a local roller skating rink had a couple games, and now 7-Elevens ring a bell as having some arcade games. And I used to be able to get on my bike and ride to some 7-Elevens. Yeah, they were.
They have like Hogan's Alley with like the guns.
I remember that. But the things I really remember the most, once Street Fighter 2 came out, it was like every arcade everywhere was alive, and they just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. The Jersey Shore, which is where I went as a kid, the boardwalk, it felt like there was an arcade every 5 blocks. And I still sometimes have dreams about being a kid where everything is arcades and I'm walking around the boardwalk, because that's what it seemed like to me, because it was just arcades. It was an arcade boardwalk. Now, when I'm older and I walk down that same boardwalk, I'm like, it wasn't really an arcade boardwalk at all, but it was to my little brain.
See, when I was a kid, we didn't go to the beach that much. And as much as the roller rink reminds me of like my first arcade, I only went there like maybe once, twice a year with like school skating events and stuff like that, skating parties. My arcade growing up was, like you said, there at the Montgomeryville Mall. We had one here local at the Fairground Square Mall. Fairground Square Mall is not even there anymore, but they had a arcade there called Sega's Time Out. And it was like a corner store in the mall at the like right towards the door. And they probably had I bet you they probably had about 50, 60 different games in there. But the big ones were always Street Fighter 2. They would have like skee ball in the back corner, or they would have like the basketball rims where you could shoot baskets and get tickets. And they always had like the ticket counter.
I had no time for those ticket games. Never.
No, me neither, man. Like I was either going to pinball or I was going right to Street Fighter 2 or eventually Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, same. Any action game that came out. And you know what? Even movie games. Like if a Batman movie arcade game came out, that would be good. Totally different than the home console stuff we talked about before. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, for sure. Because like those arcade games had that much more power, that much more, when I say power, I mean like computing power. You weren't getting that like on an 8-bit game or a 16-bit game even. It was like operating on a whole different level. The other big ones were like, you mentioned them last week, I think. You were talking about like clones of Final Fight or...
yeah.
Well, yeah, but they had like the Simpsons game where you get like 4 people standing around. They had the X-Men game where you can like just... And all you did was walk across the screen and like mash buttons and like, if you did it right, like 2 characters could team up and like one would throw the other across and take out all the... You had like your special power button.
Listen to this. I got so good at that X-Men game in college, I beat it on $1 with a couple friends.
Wow.
Want to take me on? I still got the skills.
You know my favorite part of the X-Men game we're talking about here, the X-Men arcade game?
Nightcrawler, my character.
He was my character too, but that's not my favorite part of the game. My favorite part of that game is Magneto coming down and saying, "Okay, X-Men, now prepare for die."
Oh, yeah.
X-Men, welcome to die.
And not only did he say it, they actually wrote the words on the screen. So thanks, Google Translate.
That one got by the American translators when they got the game delivered to them. Yeah, I remember Pyro. Oh, I know what it was. You can't beat the blob. The blob would run through. Oh, he would just say it over and over.
Colossus was a good character too, but Nightcrawler was my go-to because he like zipped around the screen with his teleport, but Colossus was good too.
Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that arcade game, I think that was the first, right?
That may have been the first, yeah.
God, that was fun.
Simpsons was my favorite. The animation was good. The voice actors were there. Marge walked around whipping people with her fucking vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Homer would just punch his arms. Yeah. Bart was Bartman. Lisa like beat people with a jump rope.
Oh, man. Yeah, Bart used a skateboard. I think I remember him smacking people with a skateboard.
Yes.
Let's play a game. Let's each name a game that we remember until one of us can't remember anymore. Zach's on.
Double Dragon.
Dragon's Lair.
Breakout.
Space Ace.
Pac-Man.
Bad Dudes.
Donkey Kong.
Street Fighter 2.
Mortal Kombat 2.
All the Mortal Kombats.
Okay. Well, just the series. Okay. 1941.
Narc.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
With the submachine gun?
Where you could just blow everybody up into billions of bones and meat.
The original Star Wars.
That is a good one.
Where you flew the X-Wing and you sat in the thing.
With the vector lines.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. Golden Axe.
Frogger.
Centipede.
Millipede.
Ooh, Cabal.
Jungle Hunt.
Burger Time.
Dig Dug.
That's a good one. Popeye.
House of the Dead.
Then I'll do Operation Wolf.
Oh, that's a good one. Contra.
Yeah. They had that Terminator 2 shooter.
They did. That was just like Narc almost.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one. Aerosmith.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be my next one. And I'm pretty sure Operation Wolf had I think that was a sequel. I think there was Operation something else, but I can't remember that one. How about Outrun?
Pole Position.
Yeah, the Hydro one. I was always into those.
Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder, yeah, where you could sit in anything you could sit in. I tried it. Whether it was a motorcycle, whether it was a hydro boat or whatever we talked about, Afterburner. I was a sucker for those, man.
Spy Hunter.
Oh, I love Spy Hunter.
So good. He came out of the back of the semi truck like fucking Knight Rider in the beginning
with a steering wheel. I love having the steering wheel. All right. Getting tougher now.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it last show. It was a Nintendo game, but it was also an arcade game, Ghosts and Goblins.
Asteroid.
Did I say Rampage yet?
No, you didn't. Not a fan, but there it is. Virtual Fighter.
Nice. Moonwalker.
Cruising USA.
Oh. Daytona. Remember that Daytona game? That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe it was even Daytona USA at first.
Do you remember Rush? There was another racing game that was out same time as Daytona.
Yeah.
That was a cool game because that had really weird floaty physics. You could really drift in a unrealistic but really satisfying way. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Here's a newer one, but it's an arcade game, and I'll count it. Guitar Hero.
Yeah, they did make that into an arcade game. I started to notice that in arcades, like more recently. It's like, hey, we have old Nintendo games. Come play. No, I don't want to because I own that. Why would I come play it here when I could play it at home?
Another thing I've been noticing in like modern day arcade games, we have a place over here called Building 24. First of all, I don't like that there's no coins. It's all like using a card. You load a card, then you play for credits. But it's not like 25 cents, 50 cents. That's how you used to know you were playing a good game. Right. If it cost more quarters, it was a good game. This is just all fucking scammy, it feels, you know?
It does feel scammy. Because you're like, I'm just going to swipe this card a few times, and all of a sudden you're out of tokens or whatever. You're like, that doesn't feel right.
But they're turning like big, like primetime game shows, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and all that kind of shit into video games. And it's all for tickets. And let's talk about the prizes at the ticket counter.
I never played the ticket games because I never liked the prizes.
Oh my God, dude. You can buy like a fucking full-on neon sign over there for like 15,000 tickets. You can buy like an electric scooter. Like stuff that's like so completely unobtainable.
Right. Just to get you thinking to go back and play again. It was like that kid that won that Pepsi challenge. Remember? They were like, nobody's ever going to win the jet. Well, the son of a bitch won the jet.
F-16 Harrier jet.
Yeah.
For his Pepsi points. Yeah. Great story. Maybe we'll do that one next. The other thing, speaking about these credit card, basically it's a credit card. They now store the amount of tickets you have on the card too. So some machines don't even give you tickets. You don't even get the satisfaction of pulling the tickets out of the machine.
They're like that at the casino now. Yeah, you get a card now.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this. Too high tech. I want to feel the dirty money in my hand. Did you ever have a quarter with a string on it? Did you ever do that bullshit?
No.
I used to do that, and it worked. I also learned how to pull open the top. Oh, God, I was a bad kid. So I learned how to pull open the top of an arcade where the joysticks are and go down and where to touch to trigger the sense of a quarter dropping in because the game would just turn on because it felt a quarter dropped in. So we had one arcade game, it was Street Fighter 2, that I had broken, that I had pulled up. And every time I would do this, I'd make sure nobody was looking. I'd stick my arm down, ding, 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 and knock in like 30 credits.
Holy shit.
Shitty move, but that's what I did.
There's a Konami code for it. You get 30 men.
Yeah, it was my Konami code. Well, I can give you a few others since we're running out of steam on this game. Mario Brothers, the original. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I used to play that a lot.
I talked about Contra being like one of the first simultaneous player games The original Mario Brothers was simultaneous.
Yeah, I really liked that. It was fun to jump underneath them and hit the turtles and do all that. So when the big,
And
Super
hit the
Mario
power
Brothers,
block and flip him back over
Yeah,
and
the
kill the
power.
other guy.
Yeah,
And damn, that brought a lot of fights about, man.
How about Donkey Kong Jr.?
That was great. That was one of my very first Atari games that I actually bought with my own money.
I went through the entire Pac-Man. I can't believe we haven't talked about Pac-Man. I went through that summer of Pac-Man. That was one of the best
I
summers
said
ever.
Pac-Man.
Did you? Oh, forgive me.
That was my first one, I think.
But then all of a sudden, yeah, it probably was. Told you, my memory's shit anymore. But then they started to come out with like Miss Pac-Man. I went, I don't need another one. Then they came out with Baby Pac-Man. Then they came out with Super Pac-Man, one that got so big that would like chomp like a bunch of lanes. It just started to get out of control.
They came out with a 3D Pac-Man at one point where it was almost like once we got the technology of like Doom, Pac-Man was like 3D, like in channels, and you could like jump.
What?
Like it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Get that.
How about Cubert?
Hubert. Jeez.
He talked like the referee in Punch Out.
Crystal Castles. I remember playing that, I think.
Remember I had it for the Atari.
Yeah. See, now we're getting to the games where I'm not sure whether I played it on my home consoles or I played it in an arcade.
Yeah, I was running into that too.
All right, one more from both of us.
Shinobi.
That's the closer, man. I used to play a ton of Shinobi. Thank you for remembering Shinobi.
How about that bonus screen where the ninjas were jumping at you and you were just throwing Chinese stars?
Yeah, they're stuck to
and
the
if they got close, they'd land in front of you and go ching. So good.
There is a ice cream place called Scoops in Sea Isle City, and I went there every summer, and they had Shinobi every summer. They just never got rid of it. I put in so much money into that game. That's one that I beat because they didn't have many games that you could beat in the arcade at that time because it was usually games that would just loop and loop and loop, and this one had an ending, and I was so proud. Beat it. Remember throwing those Chinese stars that one like because Street Fighter had that test your might type of thing, or maybe Mortal Kombat did. You beat up a car or you smash something. Shinobi had it too. You throw the Chinese stars and try to hit all the.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
And the ninjas were like on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And they were like, they would jump towards you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd shoot a man in the face to play that game again.
I wonder if it's on your emulated Xbox downstairs. We got to check this out, man. I want to play Life Force. We got to play Shinobi. We got to get back into this.
There are arcade emulators. I have one on that system, but I don't have many games. I have the Punisher arcade game and only a couple others. But yeah, there's a whole emulator world out there where people who have gotten the old arcades, found a way to rip them, turn them into something that can be played on your computer. So I guarantee we could find it and play it at home.
Well, that was a good walk down memory lane. When you said Afterburner that last show, I was like, God damn, there's good games to talk about here.
We got to go to an arcade, a retro arcade. Record there.
How about Barcade? There's Barcade down in Fishtown in Philadelphia.
I see them around a lot when I travel. Yeah, I think I went into one once and it sucked. But the idea is great. Just got to get a good one.
All right, man. What do we got for news this week? We're going pretty long. We thought this was going to be a short show. This is going pretty damn long here.
All right. Well, let's talk about this from Variety. Sony Pictures is developing a new Karate Kid movie that will unite Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, the stars of separate Karate Kid films in the past. What? This is stupid. Ralph Macchio will reprise his iconic role as Daniel LaRusso from the original Karate Kid trilogy and the recent Cobra Kai series. Jackie Chan will return as Mr. Han, or Mr. Han, the Kung Fu master he played in 2010's Karate Kid remake. This character was based on the Mr. Miyagi character. The new movie is being directed by Jonathan Entwistle, don't know who you are, and written by Rob Lieber, don't know him either. It'll premiere on December 2024. Plot details are still unknown, as is how this new movie will connect to the Cobra Kai series storyline. The movie will focus on a new young Karate Kid character. They have launched a global casting search for this lead role. This sounds dumb.
So it's not going to be Jaden Smith?
I guess not. He's too expensive now. He's in demand.
All right. Yeah, I don't need this. I didn't even watch any of Cobra Kai.
I liked it, but I got burned out on it. Like, it should have lasted 2 seasons. Did everything it needed to.
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Put him in a body bag. It says here the Karate Kid franchise has earned $430 million globally since 1984. That doesn't sound like a lot. I think most Marvel movies double that.
Strike fast, strike hard, no mercy.
Yes, Sensei. Did you hear that new Doctor Doom rumor?
The one that is going to be played by, okay, lay it on me.
Oh, you're talking about Fantastic Four. Yeah, I read that too. So they're saying that maybe you're not. Oh, I'm going to give you two news stories. One is not even on this list. So we'll start with the Doctor Doom rumor. So remember, it was either last episode or the episode before. I said I had a hunch that they're using Loki to write off Jonathan Majors, to cancel Kang Dynasty, and just
Right. Then they're going to get rid of Kang and they're going to replace him with Doctor Doom.
a lot of people are saying that that's what they've been
I read
talking about
this.
doing. So apparently there's some leaks. Could be total bullshit, but they're thinking of bringing Doctor Doom in as a quick, let's get Kang out, let's get Doctor Doom in. He'll be the next Thanos. We still have time to create, something before these Avengers movies.
Right. Yeah, but for me, like, I think Doctor Doom, I think the Fantastic Four, like, Doctor Doom was the villain for the Fantastic Four. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be like saying, okay, we're going to make it Magneto and then not bringing in the X-Men. Like, no, Magneto's the bad guy for the X-Men. Like, it's how they pair up.
I mean, it sounds like a bad idea. We're desperate. What do we do? We'll get Doctor Doom. Well, how do you make it work? Well, that's been our problem. We haven't really thought about good ways to make these characters work together, and people just aren't interested. When we used to think this stuff out, well, we had the full gamut of characters. We could put characters together strategically. Now we're just going to put characters together and force it. It just, sometimes it doesn't work. So I don't know. I think that would be reckless.
What did I send you about Pedro Pascal?
Right. Yeah.
He was
So
supposed to be Reed Richards.
that was the other
That's what
thing.
I was thinking.
Yeah, that was the other story I was just going to bring up since you reminded me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal as possibly Reed Richards. I guess that is
Right.
more than fan casting. Apparently that's like another leak.
Yeah.
Could work.
And I sent this to you, and what'd you write back?
What did I write back?
Nope.
No.
No. Yeah.
And my question was, no, this isn't true, or no, you don't want this.
No, I don't want it. He doesn't really embody that character to me. I want a long, ganky, kind of nerdy guy. That's who I see from the comics. But okay. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a good actor. He'll be okay in the role.
But will this just be Paul Rubens playing Roger Rabbit?
The one thing I'll give the MCU, they do find ways to take actors and work these superhero roles without them being like totally stupid. So that's what they're good at, making actors fit parts. They're just not great at putting characters in battle together when they don't fit. And that's because they're just not great at writing stories in this new manner that they do, that they make it up every week. It's like we talked about this before. It's like South Park. It's how they make their cartoons. Every week they put it out like 2 days after it's done. Yeah, Marvel is too big and has way too many moving parts to be putting stuff together that way. So if they slow down and they think about their characters, they think about their stories, they think about, who looks good on screen together, they might get their strength back.
Let me ask you a rookie question, because I'm certainly not up to speed when it comes to Marvel. What happened to John Krasinski as Reed Richards?
I loved when he showed up in Multiverse of Madness because that was fan casting, and Sam Raimi was like, "Yeah, let's give the fans what they want.
Let's do that."
Yeah.
But it was just a throwaway. This was never ever.
It was just a throwaway.
Oh, okay.
And I don't see any reason why they can't go back to him now and say, "Hey, do the role again." So you look the same in that multiverse as you do in this multiverse. We've done that many times. That's okay.
Sure.
But he was good in that role. I liked him.
I thought so too. I was like, why are we recasting him already? Like, what happened here? But okay, I didn't realize it was just a throwaway thing there.
Yeah. Well, that's really all I got to talk about. Dr. Doom. We're ending on Dr. Doom because I am hungry and we went too long.
Yeah,
again.
man.
We're having too much fun.
That's what happens, man. You get us together, we just can't shut up. Well, everyone out there, happy Thanksgiving. And I want to thank you. Very thankful for your listening. Clearly for your sharing, those of you doing your part. And this is episode 52. Figure 52 weeks in the year, we've given you one full year of entertainment now. And still feels fresh. In my mind, I'm not tired of it, not sick of it. Actually, probably gaining more momentum as things go on here. So always great to hear what you want to hear. So send us those emails. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Next week, we're going to be shifting away from Thanksgiving, much like the rest of the commercial world here. We're going to focus towards the Christmas holiday. And in fact, we're going to be inviting back Sister Michelle to join the mix.
Can't stand Christmas, man. This is going to be ugly. I got to brace myself. Can't be the Grinch this year.
Well,
I'm going to find a way to be a happy elf.
well, let's just find the Christmas carols that you enjoy. And then you can shit on everybody else's if you want to.
That is what I'm good at.
Nothing brings Bill joy than shitting on somebody's opinion. So let's keep it with that.
I gotta say one thing in closing. I had somebody say to me, hey man, so I checked out your podcast. Like, you're actually high quality and good. It's like, what did you think? Because everybody's got a podcast now. Everybody's, asking their friends to check out their podcast. He just assumed we were going to be like another dopey podcast done on our iPhones. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're a good one. Tell your friends.
That's the problem, man. There's so much noise out there of just people doing shit stuff. And like, we put a lot of time into this and it's fun. That's why we do it. Still learning things. It's fun. But yeah, man, it just becomes white noise. Just, oh, hey, I have a podcast. Yeah, no shit. You and everybody else. So like, I tell people here and again, but oh, here's good news. My coffee roaster, he and his wife, they're listening to the show. They actually put our sticker up in the coffee shop. So
that's awesome.
Thank you very much, Hill Road Coffee Roaster.
You are our new sponsor. We'll mention you every show.
HillRoadCoffeeRoasters.com for those that want it.
All right. What's our commission on that one?
Nothing. I'm just paying it forward.
There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. Get out there, be thankful, and we'll see you next time. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, bitches.